We're in Corsa Performance. We're going to press and hold this button. It's going to say launch mode or thrust mode possible, accelerator. In a previous video, you saw me drive the Lamborghini Revuelto around Homestead, Miami Speedway. Taking the Revuelto around the track was quite an incredible experience. Didn't get a ton of time in the car because they got to get a lot of the people who ordered those cars some seat time. But now these cars are finally being delivered to real customers in the United States. Just a few have trickled out, and I got the privilege to get in one of my friends who recently took delivery. So I'm gonna go over basically just jumping in the car and trying to figure stuff out. Normally I do these videos after I've had the car for 6 or 7 months, so I know it inside and out. But because my car is actually completed, and I believe it's supposed to be shipped soon, and I got this opportunity to get behind the wheel, I might as well go through it and bring this content to you. Let's just kind of go through the interior, some of the infotainment options, take it for a quick drive, and maybe try out launch control and get a quick 0 to 60. Keep in mind, we're in South Florida. It's like 98 degrees. It's insanely hot, humid, so I don't expect amazing numbers, and I haven't got a chance to adjust tire pressures on my friend's car or anything. Nevertheless, when you know I get my car, I'll set it up perfectly and get the best times out of it. Nevertheless, let's kind of go through some of the things inside the Revuelto. So starting on the left side, we got your mirror controls, which adjust the left and right side view mirrors. Our window controls are right here, so pressing that up and down onto the lock button, which is right down here, that unlocks and locks the doors. Right here is the button to open the door. Of course, the doors go up in the Lamborghini Revuelto, super cool. Drop back down. As we continue on, there's more buttons here for the lights. It looks like front fog lights and then your rear fog lights. Onto the steering wheel, there's a bunch of buttons here, and you got your turn signals here. So you got left, right, and then if you press that and you want to turn it off, you can press the off button right there. This car does have some driver assistance features. So right here, I believe this is turning on your lane keep assist. It's also got adaptive cruise control and a bunch of other things. Right here, you can see where you can raise and lower the car. So we got the lift system. You can see the car raising up, and then you press that again and the car drops down. Now this also moves backwards and forwards. That's adjusting to suspension. So you can see damping. We got hard, and then we got soft for the suspension. I'm gonna come back to this button in a minute and this button. As we move back over to this side of the steering wheel, you have the active arrow. So if you press this button here, you'll get an indicator of what kind of arrow you want. And you can actually move this left and right and leave it on auto. You can move it left to minimum to keep the wing down, or if you move it all the way to the right, you can move it into max mode and manually bring up the wing. Over here we got our Lamborghini voice control system. This is our views, so you can switch different views on the display here, and then you can cycle through different items on this right side as well. So you got G-forces, tire pressures, some other things there. Keep going. There's our lane assist, and then there's our hybrid display system. This shows engine power, charging, front wheel drive, and all sorts of things. All right, so now onto these two dials and buttons. You have an EV button. If you want to drive in complete electric mode, you press that and it just turns off the engine, and now we can actually drive in just electric mode. You can also spin this and cycle between the different modes, which are located down here. So if I move it left, we go into recharge mode. That'll start the engine and start charging the battery after the engine. And it also optimizes your, see it says range extender force E high voltage battery recharge. And it also charges up when you're braking as well. Other modes we have over here, if we spin it to the right, we have our hybrid mode. So this will stop and start the engine, the V12 engine, depending on the conditions you're in. And then over here, we have another button which goes through the different performance modes. So right now we're in CITTA, and then you can move it to the right and go to Strata mode. And then you can also choose between how you want to shift, and that's down here. So if you want manual shifting, you press the manual button. That'll put it in manual shifting. To put it in first gear, we'll go like that. So now if you press this button, you're in automatic or manual shifting, where you can see the gear selector down there. Now as we cycle through the additional modes, you go into sport mode, and then the big S comes up there, and we're still in hybrid mode. And then there's another mode called Corsa, where it says driver systems are limited. And then there's also, if you hold it to the right, you go to Corsa ESC off, which turns off traction control. Now moving over to the right, we also have some more options. We're in hybrid mode, then you could spin it to the right and go to performance mode as well. So you can see, you could have, depending on what mode you're in here, Corsa, Strada, Sport, and then performance, hybrid, and recharge. There's quite a few different combinations of driving experience you're gonna have in this car. Now, having the Ferrari SF90 for 2.5 years and having similar modes with the hybrid modes and the all-out mode and the EV mode, I found myself only using 2 modes. I was either in electric mode, just kind of cruising around and being quiet, or in all-out performance mode. So while the different modes offer some advantages, like hybrid mode probably increases your miles per gallon and so forth like that, for me personally, I was either electric or all-out. That was it. This view button here, you can change what views you want. Of course, if you press that, it goes into like this tachometer across the whole top. And then if you press it again, you get your typical round tachometer that goes back and forth. And then depending on what modes you're in of these different situations here, you go into hybrid mode, and then you can go back into Corsa and Sport. You can see how the different screens completely change with different ways to monitor different things and so forth. To adjust the steering column, there's a lever down here. You pull this down and then you can move the steering wheel in and out and up and down. And also hidden down here is your cruise control stalk for setting the cruise control and adjusting the speeds if you appear right down here. Continue on to the center stack. There's 2 USB-C ports down here. No center console, kind of similar to my Huracan Technical, with a little pad here and an armrest. In the back, there's a little bit of storage shelf room, not too much. And then we got our hazards, and then our switch to open the fuel tank. Down here, this is very familiar. This is how you pull up in reverse, and then you can put it back in park. These are your manual and automatic shiftings. And of course, this is how you start and stop the engine or the car. All right, so onto the center stack display, you can see at the top, it gives you your kind of climate settings that you have, AC on, low fan speed, your vehicle, your settings, your phone app settings, your media, and your connections. And then if you press that, you get your style. Not exactly sure what this is. I think you can change. Right now we're in Sport. There might be some different modes you can put this in. And then when I press there, we get our driver assist options, our parking options, our settings, tire pressure, service and info, and then external lights. So you got automatic headlights, you got automatic high beams, left driving lights coming home, leaving home, and then your driver assistance features, speed warning, lane departure warning, and then rear traffic assist. Over to parking systems, we have our parking volume. This has, I believe, 12 ultrasonic sensors, which come part of the parking package, which in my previous video I said I didn't know what the parking package was. That's because I ordered the car and it was pre-spec'd, and I actually didn't get my list of options until the car was produced and they sent me the sticker. So I do know what the parking package is now. There's also some other settings in here for unlocking the doors, door sensors, long press to open the windows, rain sensitivity. I'll get into that kind of when I take delivery of my actual car. Going back over here, there's a cool 360 camera system in there if you're equipped as such. So there's a bunch of cameras. We can go to 3D and they get a 3D view of the car. So super cool. Look, I'm kind of spinning around and showing the environment around me, kind of like a lot of luxury cars do. You can also go, it's also got parking lines. You can go back to the 2D mode. You can select the rear camera, the front camera, the top view camera. This shows the rear wheels. So if you were parking next to a curb, you can be careful not to curb your wheels. There's your front wheels, and then there's a wide view of the rear, and then a wide view of the front as well. Now, I do believe this car has Apple CarPlay. I forgot my cord, so I won't be demonstrating CarPlay today, but this button here takes you back to the main area. Then there's a whole bunch of vehicle dynamic things you can view here under vehicle dynamics. So you got your engine status, E-range, tire pressure management system, your G-meter, your LDVI, Lamborghini Dynamic Vehicle Information, I believe that is, your ADAS systems, and your BTM. Now, you can swipe some of this stuff over to the third screen, which is all the way over here to display data for your passenger. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. When I get hold of the manual and a lot of time with the car, I'll figure that out and come back with a separate video. Now over to the third display, I think you can power on and off the display here. There's some more settings for what you want, and I know you can customize this however you want by just dragging kind of apps and screens backwards and forwards. All right, so enough talk. Let's take this for a drive and let's kind of go through all the different modes and combinations there are. Right now I'm in CITTA, I don't even know how to say that, and we're in hybrid, but I did press the EV button right here. So the engine is off, I'm in park. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in, pull this pedal forward. It doesn't say first gear, it actually says a big E right there. And now we're moving out in just electric mode, which is obviously super quiet. And I'm not sure if I can read on the gauges here how many miles we get of range, but I think it's about a dozen or so. So while we have a screaming V12 possible, right now we are just in EV mode. And this person can't decide what they're doing right here. There we go. Power delivery in EV mode seems about the same. I forget what the actual horsepower of the front is. I think it's up to 150 horsepower or something like that. Enough to get going. Not a lot of high-end torque, of course. And I believe it's just spinning. And if I press on the view button right here, I'm going to see if it kind of displays exactly what's happening. Yeah. So right now it appears on this little display here that we are in front wheel drive mode only. I'm going to spin this camera around into a first person view in a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm talking about on the screen here. I'll go through the modes kind of one more time, but let's just do this view first as we're kind of cruising around. So this would be typical coming home. You don't want to make a lot of noise. The big V12, and you can just cruise around and it drives fine. It's pretty smooth. It feels like a very slow Tesla, I guess. Now, if I want to turn on the engine, I use these dials right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and spin it over to Strada, and there you go. The engine comes to life and roars up. It's not as loud as it is in Corsa. I believe it has, I think this car has different kind of exhaust notes depending on what mode you're in. But now we're in Strada and hybrid mode. Now I'm going to press this button down here, which should put me into automatic. And I've hit the A on the screen here. I'm just going to go drive. Now if I hit downshift, I get little pops and crackles right there. I did see the rear wing pop up in the back. Little more pops and crackles. I'm still in hybrid mode. I'm going to spin this over to performance. So now I'm in sport performance mode. And I don't think that's all the power. I think you might have to be. I mean, this car pulls pretty good. I'm going to make a U-turn right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in Corsa. I'm going to go ahead and spin this dial over to Corsa. This should be full power. Driver system's limited. So I'm kind of sitting in second gear. In Corsa mode, it will not shift for you. There are some shift lights up here. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a little hit. Oh, this display is super cool. I got to spin this camera around so you can see what's going on here with the engine power, the electric power, the shift lights. There's a lot of stuff going on here to check out. As for comfort and drivability, I mean, this is leagues ahead of any Aventador. I mean, you're not getting those crazy, you know, up and down shifts when the car's disengaging the clutches and so forth. It drives really, really well. Kind of feels like a Huracan shifting, but with a lot better sound and a lot more power. Alright, so now I'll get a little first person view driving the Revuelto here. Right now I am in Corsa performance mode, so we're just cruising around in first gear. So you can see here we got our electric power, RPMs, and regen, and then there's some shift lights up here. Woo! Wow. Give it another little hit. Car sounds great. Gotta love the V12. I'll go ahead and press this EV button. Maybe I need to hold it down. go. EV12. The motor just shut off. And you can see we got the E. We're going 40 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and gun it. All right, it's going, it's going, it's going. Boom, there's 60 miles an hour. And then when I brake, you can see this dial up here go into regen mode to charge the battery back up. Enough of EV mode. Let's go ahead and dial this back into Strada. You can hear the engine bottom up. And then we'll go into Sport. And then I think Corsa is the most fun. Let's just drive it in Corsa. And if you want full power, you got to spin this dial right here as well to go into performance. So full out, you need Corsa performance. And this little checkered flag button, that is for launch control, which we'll test out in a second. Over here I can adjust the damping of the suspension. I put it in hard mode. Let's go feel what the car feels like in all-out kind of track mode. All right, so I'm sure everyone wants to know how to do launch control in the Lamborghini Revuelto, so I'm going to show you that right now. All right, so first note, your battery has to be above 25%. Right now we're at about 80%. Otherwise the car will not launch. It'll just give you an error that says launch mode not available. You also have to be in Corsa. If you're not in Corsa, let's say we're over here in sport mode, and then you press this launch button, it just says thrust mode only available in Corsa. So there you go, we will spin this to the right, we'll be in Corsa, and then over on the right button, we're in hybrid. I don't know if it'll let you launch in hybrid. Let's see. Yes, so you can launch in hybrid mode, but we don't want that. Let's go ahead and spin it over to performance, and then we'll give it a run. We're in Corsa performance. We're going to press and hold this button. It's going to say launch mode or thrust mode possible, accelerator. That's it. Wow. That's 60. It's like 2 seconds. It's crazy. All right, so 0 to 60 came in at just 2.3 seconds. That is in like 3000 DA, super hot, super humid. That's with me not checking the tires. Quite a bit of little spin off the line. I fully expect with some better weather and maybe a little better battery charge and checking the tires and so forth, this to drop down into the very low 2-second range for 0 to 60. I gotta say, I cannot wait to take delivery of my Lamborghini Revuelto. It should be here in just a few weeks, and you will get a lot more content. We're gonna ship this off to Bradenton, take it to the drag strip. I'm gonna take it to Tennessee. I'm gonna take it up to the Triple F collection and race all the cars they got. So, wow. I cannot wait to get hold of mine. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, helps the video on the channel, and you can be looking forward to a lot more Revuelto content coming soon. Thanks for watching.